Listen, his limitless word brought galaxies into existence. Turning the tide in your favor is not a big deal for the Creator. Commit your lives, commit your situations to Him as unto a Creator who will never fail you.
Welkom bij Antwoorden met Bayless. Het leven kan soms een uitdaging zijn. Maar of het nu gaat om financiën, relaties, gezondheid of de vraag naar je doel in je leven, één ding is zeker. God ziet je. Hij houdt van je. En wat er ook aan de hand is, Hij heeft de antwoorden op je vragen.
You ready for the word? Are you sure? All right. Our theme for this month is Psalm 119. It's the longest psalm in the Bible. And as you read it, you will become acutely aware of the importance that the writer of this psalm put upon the Word of God, upon the Scriptures. And our stated goal is we want to get the Word into you by getting you into the Word. And I want to read to you, it'll be up on the screen, Psalm 89 to 9, or excuse me, verse 89 to 96. And this is from the Amplified. And it says this: "Forever, O Lord, your word is settled in heaven, standing firm and unchangeable. Your faithfulness continues from generation to generation. You have established the earth and it stands securely. They continue this day according to your ordinances. For all things, all parts of the universe are your servants. If your law had not been my delight, then I would have perished in my time of trouble. I will never forget your precepts, for by them you have revived me and given me life. I am yours. Save me as your own, for I have diligently sought your precepts and required them as my greatest need. The wicked wait for me to destroy me, but I will consider your testimonies. I have seen all that human perfection has its limits, no matter how grand and perfect and noble. Your commandment is exceedingly broad and extends without limits into eternity." My wife and I know a woman that was in a very, very dark place. She actually had not left her home for a year, and it wasn't due to a lockdown. This was more than 30 years ago. She just sat in the house with the curtains drawn, sat in the shadows, and slowly but surely, this deep, dark depression was suffocating her and squeezing the life out of her. It got worse and worse and worse. It all began when she started entertaining some thoughts. And once those thoughts, those negative thoughts, had gained a foothold in her thinking, they invited some of their relatives in, which were far worse. And it wasn't long before those thoughts and dark imaginations were pulling her deeper and deeper down into this well of hopelessness and despair. And she was a Christian. She began to read the Bible. And some of the promises that she found there began to bring a little bit of light back into her world, and she clung to them like a drowning man would cling to a piece of floating wood. And slowly, those promises began to beat back the darkness, and more light came into her world to where she actually had the courage to call a friend and said, "Take me to the church you're going to." Or a friend brought her to church. It happened to be Cottonwood Church. And in that atmosphere of worship and fellowship, the remainder of those chains of darkness fell away from her, and she was freed. And she became a champion for the power of the Word of God. In fact, I would liken her to Apollos, of whom it is declared in Acts chapter 18 that he was mighty in the Scriptures. How'd you like to be known by that, being mighty in the Scriptures? In fact, some of you go back with us that far. If I ever struggle, I was preaching and I maybe got off on a tangent. I'm saying, there's this verse, and I think it's Isaiah, and it talks about this. And I'd point to her and said, "What's that verse?" She would quote the verse, give the reference, and she never missed it for years and years and years. Didn't matter where it was in the Bible, she knew immediately what I was referring to, and she could quote it verbatim. She literally became a living fulfillment of Psalm 119 and verse 92. If your law had not been my delight, then I would have perished in my time of trouble. I want to point out to you several things, mention several things from this psalm. In verse 89, it says, your word is settled in heaven. It's settled, it's firm, it's unchangeable. It's been settled in heaven. We need to settle it on earth as our personal final authority and as our refuge in times of trouble. In verse 90, it says, your faithfulness continues from generation to generation. What we read about God doing in other generations, we can expect him to faithfully do for us in our generation. Verse 93, he said, I'll never forget your precepts, for by them you've revived me and given me life. God imparts life to us through his word. Spiritual life, emotional life, and yea, even physical life. Psalm 107:20, he sent his word and healed them and delivered them from their destructions. In verse 94, he said, I am yours, save me as your own. That's really important because the scriptures, the treasure of God's word, it's the heritage of his children. And if you've not settled the fact that you're his, you need to settle that before you leave today. And at the end of verse 94, he went on and said, I've diligently sought your precepts and required them as my greatest need. So look at me for a moment. Outside, look at me. Your greatest need today is not money. Your greatest need is not health. Your greatest need is not peace. Your greatest need is God's word because it can give you all of those things and more. And then in verse 96, I've seen that all human perfection has its limits. Humans are limited. God is not. Even the most sincere, equipped, and willing advocate, expert, or friend has limits. They have limited compassion, they have limited wisdom, they have limited skill, they have limited resource, but God's commands are not limited. Yet so many times we try and place our human limitations on God. Like the children of Israel of old, it says in Psalm 78 that they limited the Holy One of Israel. We say or we think, oh, this thing's too far gone. It's beyond recovery. It's beyond rescue. When the truth is, all things are possible with God, and all things are possible to the one that believes. And there's something else in this psalm that's been inserted here that I sort of passed over on purpose. And I want to come back to now because it's really interesting. It almost, in a way, kind of seems out of place, but we need to see it. It deals with creation. Verse 90 and 91, in the middle of verse 90, you have established the earth and it stands securely. They continue this day according to your ordinances. For all things, all parts of the universe are your servants. Why put such a thought right there? I mean, he's talking about in the middle of trouble, I'm clinging to your word has saved me. And in the middle of that, he inserts these thoughts about God being the one who established or created the earth and set the universe spinning in motion. Well, it may surprise you, but it's something that God's people often did when they were faced with difficulties and distressing circumstances. In 2 Kings 19, King Hezekiah is besieged by the Assyrian army. Sennacherib, the king of Assyria, has destroyed every city they've come into contact with. They've already defeated all the Israelites in Samaria, carried them away as captives to Assyria. It looks utterly hopeless. And Hezekiah begins to earnestly pray and entreat God to intervene on his behalf. And he begins his prayer this way: you are God, you have made heaven and earth. when in captivity and trouble, Nehemiah did the same thing. God, you made heaven and earth. That's how he begins his prayer. Like here, the psalmist in Psalm 119, King David did it many, many times when he was in dire circumstances. I bet you'll know this one, Psalm 121. I will lift up my eyes to the hills. From whence comes my help? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. But we also find the same thing in the New Testament. In Acts chapter 4, the disciples have been arrested and now threatened. Don't teach, don't preach, don't even speak anymore in the name of Jesus. So they gathered together with the church and they prayed, and we know they prayed that God would grant them boldness and that God would stretch forth his hand to heal. But have you ever noticed how they began that prayer? The whole church began the prayer this way: Lord, you are God who made heaven and earth and the sea and all that is in them. They began by acknowledging God as creator. And in so doing, they were putting their faith in a promise that turned the tide for them, just like it had done for Hezekiah and Nehemiah and David. And that's actually what I want to talk to you about today. In fact, many of those people we just referenced, what they did at the beginning of their prayer, every one of them went back and they quoted, as they began to pray, Genesis 1:1. They went back to the beginning. I remember as a kid, math was never my strong suit. And I would get this paper and I'd erase and scribble, and my dad, on the other hand, he was brilliant when it came to math. And I said, Dad, help. He'd walk in and he'd grab an eraser and he'd erase everything I put on the paper. I go, Dad, he says, look, this is a mess. We got to go back to the beginning. And he would start at the beginning and take me through it, and it would make sense. But I'd like scribble on scribble and an arrow here and this all marked out. He said, we need to go back to the beginning. Some of us, we just need to go back to the beginning. These people, they actually started their prayers quoting Genesis 1:1. We'll reference that in a moment. But first, I'd like you to look with me in 1 Peter chapter 4. In this chapter, Peter talks about suffering and going through trials. And most specifically, he talks about when you suffer, when you go through trials because you follow God, because you're living for Jesus. In verse 12, 1 Peter 4, he said, Beloved, do not think it strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened to you. And then verse 19, Therefore let those who suffer according to the will of God commit their souls, meaning their life, commit their lives to him in doing good as to a faithful creator. When you're suffering, commit your life to God as to a faithful creator. Some translations say to a creator who will never fail you. And I actually think the Passion Translation sort of captured the flavor of the original Greek the best. Let me read it to you. It says, So then, those who suffer for following God's will should enfold their lives into the Creator, who will never fail them and continue to always do what is right. In times of trouble, commit your life and the circumstances of your life to the faithful Creator. You know, Ecclesiastes 12:1 says, in your youth, remember your Creator. In the days of your youth, in other words, get a hold of this truth when you're still young. It'll see you through your whole life until you're old. In the days of your youth, remember your Creator. All right, why get a hold of this truth? Why is it so important? Now stay with me here. This is going to help you. Hebrews 11 and verse 3 gives us a bit of a synopsis. It sort of encapsulates the creation account that's given to us in great detail in Genesis chapter 1. And Hebrews 11:3 puts it this way. By faith, we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that the things which are seen were not made of the things which are visible. The way it says it in Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and then we get the details. I have a question for you today. Is God still the creator? Has he lost any of his creative ability? No, he has not. So when Scripture tells us to commit our lives and our situations to him as a faithful creator, when we're told to remember our creator, it is in essence telling us to consider the fact that God can still make something out of nothing. There may be no visible hope for your marriage. There's nothing to suggest that you will ever be free from pain. There is nothing in the doctor's report that would give you any hope. There's nothing in your present financial situation to give you any hope of recovery. There's nothing in your history that would ever suggest that you would be free from that debilitating depression. You suffered with it, your mother suffered with it, your grandmother suffered with it, and there is nothing, as you look at your family history, to give you any hope. My friend, God can still make something out of nothing. Listen, his limitless word brought galaxies into existence. Turning the tide in your favor is not a big deal for the Creator. Commit your lives, commit your situations to him as unto a creator who will never fail you. You know, I talked to a friend just this Friday. He had a migraine headache for over 20 years. We'd be together. Sometimes it would be so devastating, all he could do was lie down. He couldn't work, couldn't do anything, 20 years. He had a whole barrage of caring, committed, compassionate doctors that tried to help him. You know, he was given this medication. He was given that medication. He went to dietitians. He changed his diet. He took dairy out of his diet. He changed this. You know, he went, vegan for a while. He tried this, tried that. Nothing helped. All of the doctors, all of the professionals were stymied because of human limitations. But my friend, the Creator is not limited. His command, his word is limitless. And a few years ago, he was supernaturally healed. He's never been visited again by a migraine headache, and it's been years. My friend, the Creator is not limited. His word is limitless. Wonderful Jesus. Let us learn to commit our lives and our situations to him as unto a faithful Creator. Listen to these verses. They're from Colossians chapter 1, verses 15 through 17. It says, Christ is the visible image of the invisible God. He existed before anything was created and is supreme over all creation. For through him, God created everything in the heavenly realms and on earth. He made the things we can see and the things we can't see, such as thrones, kingdoms, rulers, and authorities in the unseen world. Everything was created through him and for him. He existed before anything else, and he holds all creation together. Hebrews 1:3 says that Jesus is holding all of creation together by the word of his power. Now, I know you know this, but our material universe is made up of atoms. An atom consists of a nucleus with a positive charge, and it's surrounded by this cloud of electrons with a negative charge. And they sort of, contain that nucleus. A nuclear explosion occurs when they will bombard that atom with a neutron beam, and it breaks through the barrier of the electrons, And then the power in that atom is released and we have an atomic explosion. I was reading an article about it, quoting these scientists, and they understand all that, said what we don't understand is what is the invisible power that holds the nucleus and the electrons together. And then quoting the scientists, they said if that unseen power, whatever it is, were ever altered, or if it's suddenly released, the entire universe would immediately self-destruct. What is that unseen force holding the material universe together? I know it is Jesus and the word of his power. The same word that spoke it into being is holding it together. Well, I've got good news for you. Jesus never gets shaky holding the universe together. Pastor, what's the point? The point is this. If he can hold the universe together, don't you think he can keep you from falling apart? Don't you think he can help you? Don't you think he can meet your needs and help your marriage? Bring you through to victory out of your present circumstance? Don't you think he can heal your body? He's holding the universe together with the word of his power. Maybe you're in the furnace of affliction right now. Or it seems like the floodwaters of adversity are closing in on you from every side. It may have to do with your marriage, your children, a financial situation, physical malady. Remember your Creator. Maybe you've received some really bad news as of late. I got a word for you. Remember your Creator. Commit your situation to him as unto a faithful Creator. Listen to these verses from Isaiah 43, if you would. It says, but now, O Jacob, listen to the Lord who created you. O Israel, the one who formed you says, do not be afraid, for I have ransomed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. When you go through deep waters, I will be with you. When you go through rivers of difficulty, you will not drown. When you walk through the fire of oppression, you will not be burned up. The flames will not consume you, for I am the Lord, your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. My friend, you are in good hands. The truth is, you're not strong enough or wise enough. You're not smart enough to deal with all of the difficulties, the situations that will arise in your life. You are limited, but our God is unlimited. Oh, our praying has been so small. Our thinking has been so small and so limited. What might God do if we trusted him for great things? What might happen in us and through us, in our families, in our neighborhoods, in our nation, if we put our trust in him? It's the one who created it all. It's onto a faithful Creator. You know, I referenced early on from those verses in Psalm 119. He said, I'm yours. Rescue me as your own. Something needs to be settled. Are you his or are you your own? 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, therefore, if any person be in Christ, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. Hi there. I'd like to ask you a really serious question. If right now your lungs took in their very final breath of air, you expelled that breath, and then you stepped out of your body into eternity, where would you be? See, this body I'm living in, well, it's just my earth house. These two eyes, these are the windows I look out from. This body is not me. I'm a spirit being created in the image of God, and I will spend an eternity somewhere. And so are you, my friend. And the most important thing we can do in this life is make sure that we have eternity in focus. This is just a dressing room for eternity. Jesus, the Son of God, came to this earth, lived a sinless life, died as a substitute on the cross to take away your sins. He was raised from the dead when the claims of God's eternal justice were satisfied. And the scripture says if you believe that and confess Him as Lord, you will be saved. My friend, do it today. In fact, pray with me. Just pray it out loud. Say, oh God, I come to you and I believe. Go ahead and say it. I believe Jesus is the Son of God, and I accept Him now as my Lord and Savior. Amen. God bless you. We'd love to hear from you. And also, I want to say thank you to those that support this broadcast. We couldn't do what we do without you.
Heb je vragen over de uitzending? Of houd je iets bezig waarvoor we kunnen bidden? Schrijf ons dan of bel ons op. Ons team is er voor je. Wil je meer weten en op de hoogte blijven van Antwoorden met Bayless? Meld je dan aan voor de gratis maandbrief van Bayless per e-mail of per post. God zegen.